I regret looking but not touching. r/shortscarystories. The house smelled like dust and mothballs. Grandma's house always smelled like dust and mothballs, even when she was alive. Now with her gone, the smell seemed amplified, clinging to everything like a shroud. I hated it, but I also couldn't bring myself to open the windows. It felt disrespectful. I'd inherited the place. A crumbling Victorian monstrosity in the middle of nowhere, Massachusetts. It was the kind of house people drove by slowly, the kind that made kids whisper stories about ghosts and witches. I hadn't lived here since I was a kid, but after the funeral, and with nowhere else to go, I found myself back in the familiar, oppressive embrace of its walls. The silence was the worst. Back in the city, there was always noise, traffic, sirens, the murmur of voices. Here, there was only the wind whistling through the gaps in the window frames and the creaks and groans of the old house settling. And then, one night, I heard something else, a whisper, faint, almost imperceptible, like a breath against my ear. I dismissed it at first. Grief playing tricks on my mind, the house playing tricks on me, but it kept happening, always late at night when the house was at its darkest. It wasn't a coherent voice, not at first, just fragmented sounds like snippets of conversation overheard in a crowded room. But gradually it began to form words. Words that seemed to know me. "Elias," it whispered one night as I lay in bed staring at the cracked plaster ceiling. "You're lonely, aren't you?" I froze, heart hammering against my ribs. I told myself it was the wind, a draft, anything but what it sounded like, a voice inside the house, inside my head. Clara came to visit a few days later. We'd been friends since elementary school. She was one of the few people who actually cared about me. She'd made it big in Boston as a graphic designer. Successful, confident, everything I wasn't. "This place is something," she said, wrinkling her nose as she stepped inside. "Are you sure you want to stay here, Elias? It's depressing." "I don't know where else to go," I admitted, running a hand through my already messy hair. "Sell it," she said matter-of-factly. "Get yourself a nice apartment in the city. You could even stay with me for a while until you get on your feet." The idea was tempting. A clean break, a fresh start. But something held me back. A feeling not quite logical that I couldn't leave, that I was somehow tied to this place. "I don't know, Clara," I said. "I need time to think." She sighed but didn't push it. "Okay," she said, "but promise me you won't just rot away in here. You need to get out, see people." After she left, the voice returned. It seemed amused. "She doesn't understand, does she?" it whispered. "She doesn't know what's waiting for you here." "What are you?" I asked, finally giving voice to the fear that had been gnawing at me. The voice chuckled. "I am knowledge, Elias. I am the secrets this house holds, and I can share them with you." It started small, little hints about Grandma, things I never knew. A hidden box of letters, a forgotten photograph. It was like a game, a puzzle, and I was drawn in, compelled to solve it. The voice eventually led me to the basement. A damp, dark place filled with cobwebs and forgotten junk directed me to a wall behind which it claimed lay a hidden room. "Behind that brick," it whispered, "the truth awaits." I hesitated. The thought of breaking into a hidden room in my dead grandmother's house felt wrong. But the voice was so persuasive, so insistent. "You deserve to know," it said. "You deserve to understand." I found a hammer and chisel in the garage. The brick came loose easily, revealing a narrow opening. The air that rushed out was cold and stale, carrying a strange, earthy smell. I squeezed through the opening into a small, windowless room. The air was thick and heavy, making it hard to breathe. In the center of the room, on a crude stone pedestal, sat something that defied description. It was organic, I think, but not like anything I'd ever seen. It was roughly spherical, about the size of a basketball, but its surface was covered in veins and ridges, pulsating faintly with a soft, internal light. It glistened with a strange, viscous fluid. The smell was overpowering, a mix of decay and something else, something almost sweet. "What is that?" I whispered, my voice trembling. "That, Elias," the voice said, "is the source, the heart of this house, the reason you're here." "What does it do?" "It connects," the voice said. "It shows you things you wouldn't believe, but you must promise me something." "What?" "Do not touch it," the voice said, its tone suddenly sharp. "Look, but do not touch." I spent hours in that room, just staring at the object. The voice filled my head with images, fragments of memories, glimpses into the past. I saw my grandmother as a young woman, a stranger to me. I saw other people, faces I didn't recognize, all drawn to this house, all captivated by the object. The object seemed to react to my presence. The pulsations became more pronounced, the light grew brighter. It was like it was alive, aware of me. I started neglecting everything else. I stopped answering Clara's calls. I barely ate. My world shrank to the size of that basement room. Mr. Harding, the local historian, stopped by one day. He was a frail old man with a wealth of knowledge about the town and its history. He'd known my grandmother for years. "I heard you were back, Elias," he said, his eyes clouded with concern. "I wanted to have a word with you about the house." "What about it?" I asked, already on edge. "This house, it has a history," he said, his voice low. "A dark history. There have been incidents, people who lived here who changed." "What kind of incidents?" He hesitated. "Unexplained disappearances," he said finally. "Strange illnesses. A general malaise. The house, it takes things from people." "That's ridiculous," I said, but a chill ran down my spine. "I'm just saying," he said. "Be careful, Elias. Some things are best left undisturbed." I dismissed his warnings, but they lingered in the back of my mind. Still, I went back to the basement, back to the object. The voice was becoming more demanding, more insistent. "You're ready now, Elias," it said. "You've seen enough. It's time to take the next step." "What do you mean?" "Touch it," the voice said. "Touch the source, feel its power, understand its truth." "But you said not to," I protested. "I was testing you," the voice said, "seeing if you were worthy." "You are, Elias. You are the chosen one." I hesitated. Fear warred with curiosity, with the burning desire to understand. The object pulsed, beckoning me closer. "What will happen if I touch it?" I asked. "You will see," the voice said. "You will know. You will become something more." I reached out my hand, trembling. The air crackled with energy. The object seemed to throb in anticipation. Clara's words echoed in my head. "Promise me you won't just rot away in here." Mr. Harding's warning, "Some things are best left undisturbed." But the voice was louder, more persuasive. "Do it, Elias," it whispered. "Do it now." I closed my eyes and touched the object. A jolt of pure energy surged through me, like a lightning strike. I cried out, but the sound was swallowed by the room. The object pulsed violently, bathing the room in an unearthly light. The voice in my head swelled, becoming a deafening roar. I recoiled, stumbling backward. The room spun, blurring into a kaleidoscope of colors and shapes. I felt nauseous, disoriented. My body felt wrong. I managed to crawl out of the basement, gasping for air. The house seemed to sway around me, the walls breathing, the floorboards groaning. I stumbled to the bathroom and looked in the mirror. My reflection stared back at me, but something was different. My skin seemed translucent, the veins beneath more prominent, pulsing with a faint inner light. My eyes, they were wider, darker, filled with a hunger I didn't recognize. The voice whispered in my ear, its tone triumphant, possessive. "Now we begin." I looked back at my reflection, and for a split second I saw something else flicker there, something alien, something ancient, something other. The house stood silhouetted against the twilight sky, silent and still. But from the basement windows, a faint, pulsing glow emanated, a beacon in the gathering darkness. The house was no longer just a house. It was something else, and so was I.